Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Fellow Africans, I took this petition to the court in order to stop any future usage of falsehood and false documents, procured witnesses of the Waki Commission. I took this petition to the court 4 years ago in order to make sure that the Chief Prosecutor of International Criminal Court does not use this evidence anytime in the future, whether tomorrow or 10 years to come, to refer to this evidence because the evidence was fake. It is with this dismay and with this courage that I took to go to court in Kenya to seek a judicial review and to redeem the credibility of both those accused and the victims of this catastrophe that occurred in Kenya, that I decided to seek to expunge this report from the reports and the statute books of Kenya. It is unfortunate that the three judges in Kenya, whom I will name now, Judge Kanyi Kimondo, Judge Aburil, and Judge Onyengo, all of them sat down and gave very silly, flimsy, prudish, sardonic ruling against our petition. I want to tell the Kenyans that I have done my best. I want to be on record that should this thing reappear again, don't call me. Should it reappear again, don't say I never told you. Should the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court use this fake evidence again against Kenyans, don't say I did not tell you. My role was to go and remove these obnoxious toxins from the books of the Republic of Kenya. I therefore want to tell the world that my torrid road, a long road that I've taken in search for this envelope, has ended in Kenya so far. But I want to announce that Kenya is not the only state party in international law. Kenya is not the only state party. I will in the future, very soon, detail to you which other state party I'm going to seek this envelope to be expunged and to be made public to the people of the world. I want to thank you all. I want to tell you that a detailed document which is entitled My Long Road, Torrid Road to Work Envelope will be found on www.panafricanforumltd.com. You can read it, you can dissect, you can see the days, the long road, what I took, what I did, referenced, well documented, and may God help you that at one time somebody in Kenya will stand up to say thank you very much. From 1992 in Kenya, elections have always been divisive in the form of violence, in the form of malpractices, in the form of all types of gerrymandering that has led to chaos that we have seen that has engulfed this country since independence. The biggest obstacle of the Kenyan elections is a very simple way out. The obstacle is we have never changed the forest. We have changed monkeys in the forest. If you want to cure the Kenya elections, you get a cure, a permanent cure for the Kenya elections. Change the forest. The monkeys will not come to that new forest. Reforms and reforms have been done around the Kenyan elections. Rules, regulations, laws. Are these laws enforced anyway? The answer is no. Most of the people break it, go with it, create chaos after they have not been punished. So the basis of the BBI is to interrogate the chapter, the seriousness of why elections produce violence every 5 years. Why do people fight? Yes, someone would say they are linked with tribal cocoons that conduct themselves or take part in the elections. The answer could be clearer, nearer there. But the solution, therefore, to safeguard, even if it is tribal, South Africa has got the biggest tribe, the Zulu. But still there are safeguards in South Africa that have safeguarded an election. That the Zulus don't dominate the entire South Africa because the electoral systems are safeguarded by principles and institutions. The institution of elections in Kenya and in many African countries has always been the product and has always been an institution that produces violence. Everywhere on the continent, you see electoral commissioners confused in reading their election results. Some of them don't even know the results. Some of them don't know how many votes were garnered by both parties. To avoid this mess, Kenya needs to look completely and put emphasis on the electoral reforms that are needed so that in 2022 there is no violence in the elections that will be conducted. For this reason, therefore, I would urge the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Chebukati, to say bye-bye, because he has held several controversial elections that we have seen, including under his auspices, one election nullified in the history of Africa. Thank you very much, viewers.
You know, when one is asked to talk about leadership in Africa, one's mind wanders in many directions, because in the recent past, the continent of Africa has been the subject of scrutiny from many quarters. There are those who are Afro-pessimists and take the view that Africa will never realize our potential. There are those Afro-optimists who take the view that the jury is still out on the success or otherwise of the continent of Africa. I am an Afro-optimist. I take the view that this continent has had a glorious past, and that this continent has had her trials and tribulations, but her better days are in the future. There are those who, when talking about Africa, are in the habit of dealing with Africa as if it were one monolithic block. They do not recognize that the beauty of Africa is in her diversity. And indeed, when you care to undertake a geographical survey of Africa, you will be amazed at what the west of Africa offers, what the center of Africa offers, what the south of Africa offers, what the Horn of Africa offers, and what the north of Africa offers. That is the continent that we are talking about today. And we are talking about her because she continues in many ways to punch below her weight. And many are the commentators who take the view that the reason why she continues to punch below her weight is because the men and women who have had the privilege and honor to serve her in different political capacities or leadership capacities have not served her well. There may be merit in that assessment, but those who are quick to judge, those whose only claim to fame is that they are professional fault finders, must ask many questions before they judge and condemn Africa unfairly. This continent, and I remember, and if we are to judge this continent fairly, we must go back to the past and look to the past and ask about this continent. And there are many who have written about this continent. How many of you here will forget the great writings of Senegal's Anta Cheikh Diop, who has documented in many ways the glorious past of the continent of Africa, the great kingdoms in Africa. When Europe was still in the caves, Africans were building monuments. If they were not building them in the Ashanti Empire, they were building them in Monomotapa here in Zimbabwe. And there is a sense in which all those have been consigned to the Museum of History. And those who look at Africa see Africa as a scar on the conscience of humanity, not remembering that they were themselves co-authors of Africa's misfortunes. We are the only continent and the only people in the world who have been commodified. How many of you will remember that agrarian Europe had to commodify Africa in order to realize our level of development? At one time in those early days, we will remember, even as we talk about leadership, that half of the population of this continent was taken away. If they were not taken away from Ghana, which they then christened Gold Coast, they were taken away from Angola. If they were not taken away from Angola, they were taken away from Mozambique. If they were not taken from Mozambique, they were taken from Senegal. If the Arabs were not taking us, the Europeans were taking us. If the Europeans in their different tribes were not conquering us, they were stealing from us. Those are the realities that we don't talk about when we talk about this continent. And you know, if one cares to judge the African continent, one must be historically conscious. The oldest African country after we regained our independence from greater chief. And the question that we must ask ourselves, why is it that this continent finds ourselves in that space? If it is not Europe summoning us, it is the United States of America summoning us. Everybody is in the business of summoning us. One may ask, what has this to do with leadership? You know, I listened to the Chinese president speaking in eloquent Mandarin, saying how the relationship between Africa and China is a mutually beneficial relationship. He spoke about Africa as if it was one country. He did not remind himself, in my mind, that there are 55 countries in Africa, or 54 if you ask Morocco. And I listened to the Chinese president specifically mentioning the Gambia and a few other, and Sao Tome and Principe, that they were welcomed back to the world because they had renounced their relationship with Taiwan and they had now recognized the one China policy. Do I say this because there is anything wrong with China? No. I'm saying this because the Chinese are providing leadership for their people. They know exactly what they want for their people, and they are doing exactly what they want for their people for the benefit of their people. The question that I'm posing to us, do we know what we want for our people? Are we doing what we need for our people? And the answer is, I doubt. Why do I doubt? I doubt because at the end of the entire enterprise, the Chinese president said that he had given, or his government had given, 60 billion United States dollars to 54 African countries. Notionally, therefore, each country would be entitled to no more than 1.5 billion. Half of the presidents who are present in China, each one of them, half of them, can produce 1.5 billion. Sportsmen in Europe and America, including boxers, can earn $1 billion in a single bout. And we are here celebrating and singing the praises of China because they gave us 60 billion. Once again, it is a statement of their ability to recognize what leadership is all about. I'm submitting to us that when we interact with people like the Chinese, there is something to learn from them. We may condemn them at forums such as this, but there is wisdom in asking ourselves, how is it that this country, which about 30 years ago could not feed half our population, has in 30 years during our lifetime succeeded in pulling up nearly 800 million people out of poverty? How is it that every road that is now being built in Africa, whether the road is in Benin or in Nairobi, Kenya, or in Johannesburg, South Africa, or in Kigali in Rwanda, or the Democratic Republic of Congo, there is a Chinese firm whose name I cannot pronounce as the contractor for that firm? How is it? How is it that China, which about 30 years ago did not produce a mobile phone, today out of every 10 mobile phones, we are using 6 which are from China. If it is not techno, it is some other phone. If we are not inviting Jack Ma, we are inviting another Chinese, because we have seen that they have the ability to organize their affairs. Some of us, particularly those of us who are in the middle class, our pride is that our child is learning Mandarin as a second language, not isiZulu, Mandarin. I fear, Bishop, that in the next few years, when they bring their children for baptism, and you ask them, how do you name this child? They'll say, Deng Xiaoping Simfiwe. I'm still talking about leadership. We have seen what leadership can do. Leadership has catapulted China to another completely different orbit. We have seen that leadership has catapulted South Korea to a different orbit. We have seen that leadership has catapulted Vietnam, which was bombed to the ground in 1975. Vietnam now produces more coffee than all African countries combined. What have they done? The men and women who have been given the opportunity to serve those countries long recognize that leadership is about service. And I can't agree more with the Honorable Minister who spoke before me and the good Dr. Aaron who spoke before me, that the true essence of leadership is self-discovery and self-esteem. You know, where I come from in my tribe, and I know in many African communities, when you do something very well, they say, you have done it like a white man. When you arrive on time, they say, he has arrived like a white man. When you speak well, they say, you spoke like a white man. When you dress well, you dress like a white man. When you go to a beautiful place in Africa, you say, it does not look like Africa, as if Africans are incapable of doing the right things. And I'm telling us that until the day that we exercise the ghost of low self-esteem, Africa is going nowhere.
A very good afternoon to you. Good evening, good morning. I can see we have our viewers all the way from Taiwan, which just concluded its elections yesterday. Now they have a new leader. I see our other viewers from Saudi Arabia and indeed across the world. Thank you so much for finding time to join us today. This is Africa Showdown, and we're going to bring you what the latest here in Africa and what we have in store for you. We'll start with Kenya, where we look at the Miguna Miguna and the saga that surrounds his coming back to Kenya, the BBI and politics of Kenya, corruption in the country, as well as judiciary and failure in Kenya. So, and then the second topic, we'll look at South Sudan. Is there signs of hope? The deadline looms on the 22nd of February. That is next month. Will the country deliver this unity government finally? Is it the last deadline that they'll be able to come to an end and agree on forming this unity government that the South Sudanese have been looking forward to for a very long time. And also we'll go to Tanzania, as it a target of the West. A lot of things has been happening there, and the country is gearing to go to its general election this year. The politics that surrounds that, and the accusations towards President Magufuli that he continues to shrink the democratic space. We shall talk about that. And also Zimbabwe, President Emerson Mnangagwa there has expressed that he wants to overhaul the constitution barely 7 years after it was adopted. The changes have been approved by Parliament, but it is yet by Cabinet, but it is yet to go and be voted in Parliament. So what is really happening there in Zimbabwe? And then we shall end with Cameroon, yet too far for a state. The events that have been happening, especially in the Anglophone region, what is really the latest? Is there a hope for having a state, the Ambazonia state, sooner, or that is just something that is just far into the future? Thank you so much. With me is none other than my co-host, and of course our chief editor here and the owner of Punchline Africa Television, Dr. David Matanga. Doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miriam. Thank you very much, viewers, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much in Africa, in South Africa, Johannesburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, Lusaka, Harare. Thank you very much in Kinshasa, in Khartoum, Asmara. Good afternoon. This is the only show, as Miriam says, in Africa after your church service. Sit, watch, listen, take notes. Africa needs you, you need Africa. This is our continent. And the viewers, as said much earlier, we start with Kenya. The Republic of Kenya faces quite big challenges, especially in structure format. But these structures have been compounded with difficulties of politicking and early campaigns, lack of focus on institutions that can bring about development. Side shows that we see in Kenya have dismembered the legacy and tried to dismember the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta. This morning we shall begin with Kenya and look at what is happening. One, so many events surrounding politics, including Moses Kuria slaps a woman. All good lawyers, including William Mutunga, runs to the police to rescue a slapper, a batterer, and forgets the woman who was slapped. And the day we are, Mutunga told us that he's a human rights activist. But the woman was battered, beaten, landed on blows by an MP. Tuambiane ukweli 2020. I think time has come for people to say the truth. You claim to be a defender of women. You claim to say women must have parity, gender parity. Then you beat women. Then the same former Chief Justice who eroded credibility in the Kenyan judiciary, he eroded credibility. He brought the court to activism. Mutunga is well known for having made this court of Nairobi look like an activist church, where Wamutata used to get his filings anytime he goes in, he comes out with an order. Mutunga eroded the credibility and morality of the church, of the judiciary. In fact, added by the presence of Mr. Maraga, the judiciary in Kenya is gone because of Mutunga. Then we have another guy by name Ekuro Ekot who likes women so much but doesn't defend them. You have daughters. Someone beats your daughter. Someone lands on your daughter, beats him, beats her, sorry, hammers her, wrestles her, slaps her. She's doing her work. Simple. She beats your daughter, and we run to the police station to rescue a batterer. But we are not looking at what the woman who was beaten, who took time from December looking for a man who had run to go to Los Angeles and America to look for George Soros. Aha! Can you see the common thread between Kuria, Ekuro Court, Ford Foundation Master, Mutungi, William, Justice Dr. Mutungi? Can you see the link between George Soros, Ekuro Court, and then all the men who landed at the police station? Ichungwa, Kimani Ichungwa. Where does Kimani Ichungwa have a constituency? Where does he have extra money to do all the things? Have someone in Kenya slept on the job? Check these boys. They are playing with you. George Soros is here. You see the slogans? They want to trigger a revolution. They are here. Look at Dindi Nyoro. He's talking as if the world he has now captured after having a few millions out of the tenders of Kimirero and Emeror. And now another dam is gone. Someone who pays money from the account to a school for your child. Your children are studying on our money. And you call yourself a leader. Wah. Look at that. They come there. You see the system should look, check the direction where we are heading. If you think I'm wrong, ask me. Keep it a record. George Soros is here. They are coming from all sides. First, they isolated, belittled the president like a virus could isolate a cell, white cells or red cells, injure the cell, then you come back and say, I am the victim. The headline on the Nation, who locked Deputy President out of the house? Which residence? Is it Madam? If it's Madam, then we need the clan to sit down. How on earth can somebody of this stature be locked out of a house? Is this not a well-inflicted story to gain sympathy? If it is not sympathy, what is it?
I thought the Deputy President has been on his official Deputy President's residence. No, in Karen. He's not been staying there. Has he not been staying there?
Well, now we don't know. We are hearing this.
Okay.
And Maurice Walter, Miriam has told me not to do what I'm supposed to do. So I will not answer you. So continue watching. Uganda is coming. We are going to talk about it. So you don't control the waves. Who should talk where about where? Even if I'm in London, I can talk about Kenya worse than I am in Kenya. So you are very, very naive. I don't want to use the words I usually use. But just continue watching. Miriam has restrained me to be very disciplined this morning. Despite the hunger I have, I am already disciplined. Thank you very much. If you look at the events that are shaping in Kenya today, they are heading towards a well-organized regime change mechanism brought in by Harvard Ford Foundation, George Soros, Open Society Foundation of Ekuro Court, who gave Ekuro Court money. You remember Ekuro Court money went around to look for signatures. A man who has no factory, not a shop, not a kiosk. He doesn't have a kiosk. He has never worked for a long time in civil service. Where did he get the money to do panguza or punguza or pinguza mizigo? What is it called? Punguza muzigo. No mizigo. And only two counties. You check your events. 2 counties. One of the counties is where the Deputy President of Republic of Kenya comes from. Walai. It endorsed without even reading. Now today, when Raila Amolo Odinga and others go to Kisii to sit down, at least they are sitting not like the one of Eldoret, UG, which endorsed without reading. At least they are saying, let's look at this. Hello. Someone is complaining that we are wasting money. Whose money is this? What about the corruption money? Walai. Corruption money. Sasa mambo ndio hapo imefika. See the pressure. We told you that stop campaigns. President Uhuru Kenyatta was singing every day, begging people to stop campaign and work. Reap where you sow. Yeah. Wacha kiumane hapo. Munaumana hapo sababu you did not listen to the president, you belittled him, you thought the campaigns are the best way out. Now there you are. Your friend works with one campaign rally, you are mourning. One. And I was telling people that the person who starts political science is timing, it's too early. Even the people you have given money in the churches, even the church where you are opening today, they will ask you to pay money before you address a rally there again. I've been in this world longer than some people. And when I preach and I talk politics, listen to me. It's not school only, it is experience which I carry and bring to this microphone. Those same churches where you are opening every day dancing, the bishop will say, no, it is closed. And you will not have the money. Time is coming when the money will not be coming. Let me speak Ugandan English. The money is not coming. It will not come because it has ended. We have dried the well. The well is dry. Every tender had its masters. New project. The president said, no new project, Jamen. People continued. You could see people with groups of Chinese seated in Intercontinental Hotel, waiting. You could think that Intercontinental Hotel was in Beijing or Shanghai or Hong Kong. What? Now suits easy the kali. Very sharp suits. We are going to meet. So we're money organized. You know, Chinese don't have a letter of credit. They carry their money hard cash. Now it is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. The pain is beginning to pain Malawi. Not me. We who are poor are even trying to sell our properties, small things we earned from our own in order to pay our debts. But there are people who have stolen and God is working a miracle upside down. Kenyatta told you, forget to follow. They didn't want. So, Moses Kuria. Let's go slowly. Politics of Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria is a criminal. Don't call him a name, another name. He's a criminal. He beat up a woman. A woman batterer. Why doesn't he come for Matanga and I give him one only? One. Paka, one like this is gone. Why do you go for women, Moses? You're a coward. Try some of us. You have taken some of our money on paying your bill. Bail. You have never paid back. You also call yourself honorable member of parliament. Wacha. Waambia hao kupatia handout hizo leo ulete pesa zangu. Zile 140,000. Inakupatianga kila siku. Bail that you call yourself MP. MP wapi? Mwizi. We have been paying on pay bill. This guy was left in bail. Bail conditions in industrial area, things were bad. And we contributed to pay bill. He doesn't pay back. Then anasema he's insulting Kenyatta, unamweza. At least Kenyatta pays people. But you, who doesn't even pay 140, tunakulipia bail every day. Lipa pesa zetu. There are so many people, we are about 250 of us who contributed for this boy to get out with his bail, head condition, head 1, head 2, head 3, head 4. Huyo Moses Kuria anasema I am going because okay, Ruta akupatie ulete pesa zetu. Ndiye anasema anataka kuangusha. That 140 is 1,000 pounds. I can eat some things. Unfortunately, my suits are not like yours. Yes, today. They are not. I buy, in fact, it buys 2 suits. I need it back. Then you go on telling people, oh, I am this. Give the people. You hit women. You beat women. Then you defend women. Then Mutunga goes to court, to the petrol station, the police, to defend a criminal. What about the girl who was beaten? If it was your daughter, Mr. Mutunga, what would you do? You have a daughter from that American lady, or whoever the lady was, and you hear somebody has beaten. Don't you climb a plane and go and face this guy? What about these parents of this woman who was doing her journalistic work? She was battered because you are covering yourself as an MP, threatening people with pistols around here. And I don't know how they gave him a pistol. Because when he drinks, the whole pistol is seen everywhere. Even terrorists can use it. Today let it come out. Anakunywa anawacha. This, it can be drawn and be used to us. People who give these things should actually value people. Because the way things are going now in Kenya, there could be chaos here. Have you seen where we are reaching? If this is the type of life that we are going to have, an MP released from jail, and then he says, no, I did not beat the woman, yet they have been looking for him since December to get him. He had gone to see Mr. George Soros, then he flew to Los Angeles. Wanamwambia we koroga Kenyatta. You know George Soros is bent, CIA. If you look at how President of Chile, Allende, was overthrown by the CIA system of this type of George Soros, then you can know in Kenya, we are in a problem. Those who don't know history, go and read the Chile history, the history of Chile, how the CIA sponsored this type of things to overthrow Allende. And the President Allende was overthrown, assassinated, killed. Pinochet, who became worse than Allende. And then the Americans turned to say, what do we do? If you see the way they instigated a coup in Uganda against Milton Obote and Idi Amin, you can know what I'm talking about. It is these guys, those who claim to be for the foundation, Open Society Foundation, check them. They have regrouped. Quietly. You see, Chief Justice Baraga has gone back to the shell, waiting for an impeachment motion to ever pass there. And we are not thinking about it. It is seriously happening. The Chief Justice of a country does not talk to the executive. Miriam, let me take it from there. That is, as far as Moses Kuri is concerned, BBI. The journey of BBI was simple. It is, BBI should not be a political discussion. It is a healing process. To heal people. To heal people. To heal the wounds, the anger. We have had the anger. Kenya has had the anger since 1992. I said it in the clip you saw there. It has been accumulating like a rent arrears accrued year by year. Everybody in Kenya seem to be angry with each other when they hear the word elections. So the president and the former prime minister sat down and they said, let's do one thing. Let's unite, shake hands, proceed and have unity of purpose to unite our nation, their nation, Kenya. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody opposing it must be in a mental hospital or in intensive care unit in Nairobi hospital. Because when you are in intensive care unit, you don't think at all. You don't. They reason for you, they write for you. On the question of Miguna Miguna, I'm cutting it short quickly. Mr. Miguna Miguna should help us, intellectuals, not to embarrass why you went to school. Miguna Miguna arrived in Germany with a Canadian passport. Full stop. As far as I am concerned, David, there's no Kenyan national in Germany. I know him as a Kenyan, but officially he is a Canadian. That's a fact. Leave it. He was told, facilitate him to arrive in any way in this country. Okay. When you reach Germany, you say you don't have a document. You want to arrive here by... The German don't know your identity card. It is not on the data. You can't screen it so that it can give clearance that you are not holding a terrorist. Or you are not carrying a man who is going to bring down a plane ahead. Now, how did Miguna arrive in Germany? We all sympathize with Miguna. And all of us are friends of Miguna Miguna. That's why Miguna Miguna cannot insult some of us. If he starts, we insult each other. In fact, the whole Facebook will be on fire until maybe accounts are blocked. Some of us are also specialists. It's on the decorum that we keep. But me, David, I have a package. You come to me, come slowly. Come slowly. Because I go back to read even the Shakespeare in English, then come with it. Also, I was in school before. I did not read Makonde, neither Ogundipe. I read J.A. Bright, which Miguna did not read. I did East African Certificate of Education. Miguna's certificate is Kenya Certificate of Education. So if he comes, come slowly. Ooh. That's it. Come slowly, baby. I'm not bothered. I'm now giving him advice. I've called him, I've tried, I've sent a message. Why don't you just get a passport? One, or go back to the embassy of Kenya in Berlin, insist to fill the forms. What else do you want? Can you overthrow a government with saliva? With shoes like the ones I saw, which you are coming with like those? Some of us, does Miguna know how to shoot a gun? He doesn't know. If he sees it, he runs. You know, here he was even screaming higher. Some of us have been there, boss. Listen to me. We have been there. But we cooled down. That's why you see us talking in civic manner. And above all, we know for us, we know how to assemble it. Wewe unaambia watu unataka kugeuza serikali na saliva yako hiyo. If you cannot even, let me not say some things. Let's leave it. Brother, get the documents. Raila yesterday says, hana shida na Miguna. Even when you have insulted him, he's ready to forgive. He's an elder. He gave you a job. Where would you get a job? Jamen. You have just washing some plates somewhere in Canada. Then today you are given a job. Come and work. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. Usiambie watu utakuja kwa revolution iko wapi? Sijui unaona wanapanga. Unaona mtunga anapanga. Wile mtunga, hiyo mambo ya chini chini hiyo tena tutakuamusha. Tutakuambia ya haki. You touch Uhuru Kenyatta, tutamwambia. He has asked people to talk for him. If he doesn't talk, it is not only here that we can talk. We can even talk in serious places. You touch him, we touch you. Yeah, mjue. Because these people are playing with these guys. These guys are bringing chaos in this country. There is Arende style of have you seen how Trump was treating to Iranians? So you argue with Matanga. Argue with Matanga that there is nothing. And you dismiss it. You dismiss it at your own peril. We shall not discuss. If you don't want to watch, to listen, please just listen and watch. If you don't, switch off.
All right. A lot of things are taking place this week here in Kenya, and of course from last week, but Dr. Matanga.
Clear this mess, Duncan summary. I'm not. I am saying Miguna came with a Canadian passport. Miguna is more friendly to me than you. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, ask. I have never disgraced myself. You think Miguna is the only one who has a dual nationality? What? Alipata lini? There are people who got dual nationality in 1989. You think Miguna is the only one who has? Don't defend the things you don't know. Kuria goes to beat a woman. You want me to say, he's a very good man. He has beaten a woman. I have 5 daughters. And the one, you touch one of them. Wow, walai. Touch one daughter. Even when I'm here like this, I will leave this broadcast. You don't touch them. Because I'm a father, I'm supposed to defend my daughters. You can't beat them. That's why I'm angry at those who flocked at the police station and they did not console the woman. What about that woman? What do you think she's seeing? She has no right to answer Mr. MP because he's an honorable member of parliament of Gatundu South. Pay bill master. Rudisha pesa za watu wewe. Tunakulipia kila siku. Rudisha. Nasema MP watu. It's 5 years. 10 years. You want to be there 10 years, you can't pay. All this we have been paying, man. Watu walimwacha. Where he is running, that he is running to Ruto. Ruto alimwacha kwa huko in jail. We paid. Thank you very much, viewers. Miriam, as far as this is concerned, that's the politics. The BBI is up to you Kenyans. It was a healing process. It has been turned into a battlefield between Raila and Ruto. What they ate together and they did not eat together, God will tell us. Because every politics is now going there, is coming back, and it starts like that. You know, going by this rate, some people will collapse, and we hear they have collapsed. Because the president was telling them, cool, more, what is it? What do you say in Luo?
Most.
Slow. People did not want. The high on gear. Over to you, Miriam. Let me have my tea.
All right, and of course, one of the topics we have here in Kenya is the corruption that is, and of course, on the front pages of the Standard newspaper revealed Itare Dam millions used for fees, food, and drinks. And I'll just read a bit of that. It is on page 23 of the Standard newspaper. And it says food and drinks worth millions of shillings, school fees at high-end international schools, and medical care at top hospitals were paid for using money from the accounts of troubled Italian firm CMC di Ravenna. Bank documents held by the DCI have revealed how the billions of shillings meant for the construction of the Itare Dam were diverted to other uses, some totally unrelated to construction. I was reading this story, Doctor, just a while ago. Just the brazen. I can't even find words to explain this scandal.
Are the usernames there?
I've seen NHIF benefited from some of the money. I've seen even Naivas supermarket benefited. I think the money, the checks, people were purchasing, but they didn't know who they were serving. So perhaps they just caught in a scandal where they don't understand. So when they were going to give their version of that, after the monies were found to be traced to have been gone to some of these, companies, and so now they have to explain. But they didn't know where the money was coming from. So the money was sent to the school last year in August 2018. That is one of the high-end schools, St. Andrew's Schools, Turi in Molo, and also other charges. And these schools, they charge about over 600,000 per term. So they're international schools. So you're going to pay for your child with money that is ill-gotten. I don't even understand how, as a parent, somebody will think this is something that will be okay for them to do.
Yeah, but you have forgotten that the other one of Cameroon and Error, they bought saucepans. Kumbe what one saucepans? They don't have saucepans in their houses. They bought spoons, towels, bed covers, bed sheets. And they told us it is only 7 billion, not 21 billion. Now, even the 7 cannot be accounted for.
And I think as much as we've been seeing over the headlines that this is a make or break year for President Uhuru Kenyatta, I think this also will be a make and break year for the judiciary of Kenya, because some of these cases we're expecting that there will be, proper court process, because there's evidence out there how public money was misused. So this is a year that Kenyans will be looking at the Kenyan judiciary and seeing how they will be handling some of these cases, because they're waiting to see some of these people behind bars.
The Kenya what?
Judiciary by CJ.
My sister, Kenya judiciary of Maraga, a man who wants to be recognized, yet we all know he's the Chief Justice. So what recognition does he want? What? He has gone to the cocoon. The judiciary. That is 1 year left. When is he leaving on this year? Yes, tutaomba. But I think he's waiting. Do you know what he's waiting for? He thinks that Murkomen will read the motion of impeachment. There's another scandal. There's something you have left in apart from that. There is something also very funny which I had forgotten. It's in Kenya here. Did something hot which was going side to side by Miguna, then MP. Then there is something else. What was it? There was a very big the governor of the government of Nairobi County. Look at the saga. You are sent out. The court tells you you are not supposed to work. What is a church? It's not the building. The church is not only the building that's all sense. The church must have people. So if you have been told not to work, you don't get a letterhead anywhere and the right to illegally appoint. If any judge sides with Sonko, then that judge was one of the activists that Mutunga selected. He was told not to work, but writing a letter and appointing a governor, you have worked.
Maybe he did not understand, and perhaps his lawyers did not advise him right.
No, they are just looking for trouble. They just want. The thing I was looking for is Mr. Rocast. Rocast. The minister of Rocast. That when you get any Rocast on a Rocast, if you see any Rocast, take a picture and put on Facebook. We shall decide whether it is Rocast. It is Rocast. But you know, King Judy said Rocast. He was saying the Rocast. And they are coming very many. That was the scandal I'm looking for. Did you see that?
The locust, yeah, that has been...
The minister
has invaded the northeast.
Yeah, he told us to get farmers up there. Do they have Facebook?
So he was asking the farmers to take photos of locust. And
all of you, not only farmers, including you, Kenyan.
We've been seeing these photos. Why would he ask for more? The government, I think the government is doing
to verify whether that is a locust. I'm saying it in it's locust, but that's how our Minister of Agriculture talks. And he's determined. Then it brings me to the question, does the president see this? Is he able to see a Minister of Agriculture not able to do agriculture at all, and he remains there? He's taking the salary, using the government vehicles to go to political rallies, to mobilize the people against the president in Mount Kenya region. The money from the ministry per diem and the petty cash, buying fuel to go. This is a man who had no fuel. They got him from a dungeon somewhere and gave him. Yeah. Now you see, self-inflicted wounds. Part of the problem that is eating President Kenyatta is self-inflicted. And I am his friend. I said the truth. I'm not, people might think I don't criticize. No, it's self-inflicted. You can't have a man like a Kinjuri in your cabinet who is insulting you every day. No. Who doesn't know? He was trying to buy maize. In Uganda, the president of Uganda has sacked the maize dealer, removed the maize dealer from his state house, and thrown her to the Ministry of Economic something. The woman who delivered the maize here.
She was thrown into another ministry.
Yes,
that is
taken
the problem.
away.
You should take her away completely. Why are you giving her another position?
The one where you cannot see any foreign trader.
No, just,
You calculate books only.
no, just remove her from any public service.
You never know that is a demotion. Very big demotion. You come from PPS to PP0. You are working with the president every time, then you remain empty.
But you still get the salary.
Yeah, but not there. So she delivered the maize here, which is stock. It is stocked up to now. Some of it is rotten in Kisumu depot. Nobody is accountable here. The Minister of Agriculture has not told us how green maize, which is supposed to be white, turned into green.
And the fact that there was also another plan to import more maize
Yes.
over this period also.
So, His Excellency is caught up between, I can't call it a rock. It is just,
Self-inflicted.
it's a self-inflicted, we are swimming. You know, swim, let's swim. To where you find something to hold. No, get him out. Mr. Kiunjuri is a disgrace. So many things. The worst mistake that any president in Africa can make is to do perestroika. Perestroika is dangerous when you already have spoiled glass notes. When the glass notes are gone, never do perestroika.
What is that for our viewers who might not understand? What
The viewers, perestroika is a reform. Gorbachev in 1989 wanted to modify the Soviet Empire. He tried to give limited powers of changing a bit of limited mercantile capitalism for traders, top banks. He ended up collapsing the glass notes that held them together, which were the Communist Party guidelines. He allowed in Coca-Cola. He allowed in George Soros. He allowed in McDonald's. He allowed in KFC. Have you seen, just as they did to Allende of Chile, just as Trump is calling on Iranians to stand up and go on the streets.
I saw that. But Iran will never win either way, especially after that plane.
Yeah.
It's difficult, therefore.
Here we are. Here we are.
The atmosphere has totally shifted now.
Yes. You can't tell people that when you see locusts, take a picture and put this picture on Facebook. Surely, is Kenya having a problem? Are there no good Kenyans who can manage this ministry? Surely, Mr. President. People, locusts have really come. They're here. They are up there. They're eating people's crops. Then a minister comes on a national television and he has no shame. He's also wearing a shirt. You know, anaangalia watu ananunua shati ile inafanana. Those type of people are the very bad villagers. They kill you. You know, the killings that were in the Rift Valley were a result of that. Watu wananunuanga mashati mupya na makoti mupya. Wataki kuona wewe na wewe unanunua. Someone was waiting that if there is a problem, there is a beautiful woman there. Some people there, it brought that confusion. There was no planning. Spontaneous. Neighbors went for people's property. You think people are happy today? You think if we don't do the BBI, clean ourselves, people are happy? You used to have a house in Banti Forest and you are traveling to Malaba, you stand and get out of the car, you see the smoke in your house. Someone is cooking and you are sleeping in Nairobi in a boys' quarters, begging people that don't close the gate. That's why BBI is here, to make sure that these things go. People forget, people reconcile, people, above all, restitute and reparate. Overdue for African news. Thank you very much, Miriam.
All right, so that was the first part of our show today. We were looking at matters here in Kenya. We looked at, Doctor spoke about the Miguna Miguna saga and the latest, the BBI and the politics of Kenya, corruption in the country, and judiciary and the failure in Kenya here. So right now, our second topic is, of course, South Sudan, signs of hope for peace. Of course, last week, South Sudan's main rebel group, the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, in opposition SPLM-IO, condemned the recent attack by the government-allied militia on its position in Jekau area in the North Oil-rich Adar state. Now, after this attack, of course, the swing by, opposition leader Mr. Riek Machar was not very happy. So, Doctor, when you see moves like this coming from South Sudan, will it curtail, will it affect the deadline of 22nd of February, that is next month, in forming the unity government?
Is there unity what? Government. It's not there.
The deadline.
It's not there. Mm-hmm. There is no, look, you know what? There is no unity government. Already, what you see, my people in Africa have a problem of understanding Americans. Ask me who studied American systems, how they operate. Ask me who can tell you how they overthrew Allende. Ask me how they are doing, what they are doing about Zimbabwe. We are coming there. Ask me what they have done in Khartoum, in Egypt. They came out open and they said they overthrew Mubarak. As they call you for peace agreement, Deputy Vice President #1, Mr. Daban, sanctioned. Mm. He will never travel to United States of America. As if that is not enough, charge sheet starts somewhere that he murdered the wife, isn't it?
No, that is different, but he murdered, remember the business person and the lawyer?
Sorry, he murdered one of the journalists and another business, the boy who was
here in Nairobi.
Picked in Nairobi.
Yes.
You see, the Americans don't forget, don't forgive. Now, if you said there will be peace, you have already started injuring the the vice president of Riek, who used to be with Riek but turned himself over to Salva Kiir. How will this peace come about? We are building a government and at the same time destroying the same government. Peace can't come. That's what Americans are doing. Mm-hmm. So there will be no, Miriam, let's count the days. They are not very far.
They're not very far.
We are together.
And Max Panyika is shocked by, yes, there's a government-allied militia on its opposition, on its position, and it's supporting, the government, but it's a militia group. That is how they operate. SPLM or the governing party, they have their own militia people in inroads where the army cannot get there. Yes, so the government-allied militia. So you understand why the situation in South Sudan is very intricate. The government has its own militia. And Max Manyika there cannot. His response, you're shocked. I'm shocked myself. But that tells you why. Peace in South Sudan is very, very elusive because it's very intricate in the manner in which the parties and the stakeholders and the people involved, they come in all different facets, including militias allied to the government.
It is very interesting when you look at the body language of Mr. Riek Machar. Just call it a day. If you have some few property there, remove them. This is going to be a full-fledged out war. And those in East Africa who are watching me, record this day. One of the guys will overrun the other. Until that happens in South Sudan, it's going to be impossible, because the Americans seem to be in favor of somebody. And I don't want to say it here, but you can see whom they want. You see, they have knocked out Taban, because Taban disagreed with who? Riak. Have you seen? Knocked. Can't travel, can't function. Any country will come to, they will follow you. They will say, do you remember on that day you left this man to pass? You also, your country, we have banned you from coming here. They said it the other time, that they left somebody to pass Nairobi to go to South Africa. Didn't you see that? So we have a problem there. The style that they used against Allende, the overthrow of President Allende, the installation of Pinochet. These are good examples to show any African that we are in big trouble. We are in chaos. That South Sudan might remain a fragile state until we lose all our people, African people. They are going. They are going. There will be no peace there. The children have not gone to school for 6 years. That is the Africa we have. And the people don't want us to talk about it. This group, one of them will overrun the other. Until that happens, even that 20th, you said 20th of what?
22nd of February.
It will not be there.
And another point here, one of our viewers is bringing in Dominic Akwai. Thank you so much for writing to us. You're saying, Dr. Matsanga, you know the region of South Sudan, the government is the party that is not interested in peace.
Exactly.
Yes, and even a report that was...
If the government now can send...
It has a militia, first of all.
Riak is going to send also. So we are...
Has his own
yes,
militia.
Very soon the militias are going to exchange there, break the peace agreement. The Sudanese are suffering. South Sudanese are suffering.
And also a report that was presented to the United Nations, I think last year around October, that mentioned Kenya, Ethiopia, Burundi are some of the countries that are curtailing this peace process and this unity government that I found to be very unfair, because the issues that are contentious there has nothing to do with these countries that were mentioned. But either way, part of that report also mentioned that President Salva Kiir is actually benefiting from this chaos in South Sudan. So when you see Mr. Dominic Akwai say, yes, even the UN, the report indicated that he's actually benefiting, so he'd rather just keep the status quo. No wonder.
Because what will it, if, there is one thing that people fear to talk. And this year, let's tell each other the truth. Riek Machar cannot work with Salva Kiir. Forget it.
So what will be the solution, Doctor?
No, they will overrun each
this
other.
Stalemate.
I've told you now. One of them is going to overrun the other.
And then?
They will kill it.
We'll never see the end of this.
No. It will. One who will overrun the other, then there will be peace.
You think the other side will just accept and move on?
Which side?
That will be overrun?
Yeah, it has to conquer. The conflict in South Sudan has reached a point of conquering. There is no peace there you can guarantee. You see the militia being created for what?
The government has militia.
Yes.
Like even the thought.
It's not the real army now. There is a militia allied to
the government.
The government. So Riek is also going to create what?
Of course, he
a
has
splinter.
He has his own militia. I'm sure.
So where you tell me that I'm talking, that this Ugandan is stupid, is talking shit, nothing. Tell me. There is no peace there.
So while they come out, Doctor, and every time they come out and say, oh, the world, please support South Sudan in the peace process, are they even genuine in their wanting for that?
I told you here 6 months ago that when the Pope touches you and you don't listen, you go back and do what you were doing, you run mad. Ask me where I was. The Pope Paul touched us, touched me, touched Dr. Bita, touched Mr. Amama Babas. Yeah, when we were negotiating the Uganda peace process, on our heads, unfortunately, they did not touch our small legs. He did not kiss the legs. He touched us. But these guys took their socks, and the Pope was kissing their socks. And they are not doing the right thing to bring peace in South Sudan. Wallahi, they are finished. They are finished. The curse is bigger. For us, we touched the head, and when we came back, we accelerated the process quickly. Isn't it there? Isn't there peace in northern Uganda? It is there. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. But this one will not end. Militia manufactured on this side, and another one manufactured from this side. Then another one will say, it is him who has broken. If you don't, yes, Paulo Kagi, I'm telling you the truth. The Pope has touched you, and you don't do the right things. You run mad. These guys went and removed their dirty socks, and the Pope kissed them.
He actually kissed with their socks and shoes.
With their socks. And I imagine they have been running in the battlefield.
Yeah, that was a show of really humility.
Yes, he has reached down. God talks to Pope. Pope Francis is all the time talking to God. Oh, hallelujah. God. And you don't listen to God. Then who are you? You're a monster.
We have some information here. Dominic is saying there is a talk in Rome with the group parallel to the 16th January meeting in Juba with Riek Machar. There are ASIS, they even have a name for it, and was signed the other group, but unfortunately the mediators of IGAD and doing it as if it's a peace between two individuals. That is pathetic. And of course there has been a talks of other people that were left out of the deal in 2018, the peace signing, that is Mr. Malong and also what do you call it? I've forgotten his name. They're very important to this, to this peace process. So they also have their own militias.
There is one problem.
Thomas Cirillo. So.
Yes, there is one problem. What they can do, and it is good. You see, exactly. Give me credit. I told you, Saint Gideon. Didn't I say here? What did I say? Tell them.
Saint Gideon will be
once Saint Gideon.
I almost sounded like I'm from Uganda.
Yes.
It's not Gideon, it's Gideon.
Once Saint Gideon gets involved, it's an organization run by the Catholic Church in Rome. Now you can see the real peace process coming. And I am happy that Dr. Riek Machar faction is in Rome to finalize with those first. Thank you very much, Dr. Fabio. My brother, Dr. Fabio, don't give up. I know him. He's the one who took us to Rome. Paid his tickets. We enjoyed the breakfast in those small, not small, big hotel. Yes. I've been there. I've seen this. So I know Riek very well. I know Salva Kiir very well. They are not going to have... Let me tell you. The problem is compounded by the Americans. They created it. They are creating it. They want to finish it. American ambassador was recalled from Juba. He has not returned. They can only call the ambassador when they see the truth. And that truth is, and I tell you,
Yes.
the truth is very serious. Don't worry about these comments, Miriam. I'm not bothered. You can call me a Ugandan. I have been that field equivalent to the almost Riak. Don't forget, Riak Machanda Salva Kiir beat me by only 10 years. Where? I've been there. Anything there. You who is calling me misplaced, you might be a toddler.
All right.
Yeah.
And Bruce Oyama.
So,
Yes.
if you followed what the Americans do, they withdrew the ambassador. The man went back to Washington. The man is no longer in Juba. It means they have declared Juba a hostile, diplomatically, a hostile area. That embassy is not workable.
And they say they will reconsider the relationship between the United States and South Sudan. Yeah.
So they are considering there. In consideration, they come up one night, one morning, they say, Mr. Taban, never kanyaga muguu hapa.
And before Mr. Taban, they sanctioned others also.
Yes, there were others. That's what the American ambassador went to do. The one who was in South Sudan. He said, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. These are the mafios. Get them. Because he's there. He's not coming back. Now he's clearing way. Anybody who wants this, the Google, my general manager for social media, President Allende of Chile, sent the thing here, and I tell you how they did. The overthrow of Allende of Chile. What did the Americans do? What they are doing in South Sudan is exactly.
They've done it elsewhere.
Yes.
We've seen it play out even in the
If you listen to the speech of Mr. Saunders, the American Democratic candidate, presidential candidate.
Sanders.
Yes, Sanders. Sorry, Sanders. He tells you what they do about America, how to overthrow government.
Bernie Sanders, yes.
Yeah, he has said it. It is on record. How they overthrow government. That's how they overthrow. They now, this one of Sudan is very small. It will trigger. One of these days, it will trigger the biggest problem. One group will overrun the other, and they will recognize that group.
And I hope it does not get to that. But Bruce Oyamo here, you're saying it is high time that African leaders must stop this nonsense, stupid wars, corruption, and then waiting for some foreign lands to tell them what to do or not. And the reason why U.S. voice matters in South Sudan is because it's the biggest donor to South Sudanese, and in a tune of $1 billion US dollars per year. So that is why they feel they have a voice. So if somebody's feeding you, if somebody's providing with you the medication to your hospitals, if somebody's the one that is funding you with the peace money and your political process, you've given them all the right. You're just a puppet. So that is why, until you're able to be self-sufficient as Africans and be truly independent, as we say, we've been independent now, the first country, 66 years, going to 67 now, but we still can't do our own things. Until we are able to self-manage our own processes, then the big brother will continue pointing a finger at us and telling us what to do. So that is the situation there in South Sudan. And Paul Kagio saying America created South Sudan, but the current leaders destroyed it. And so Dominic, you're saying even the ambassador of South Sudan in America was recalled by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, yes. And Guten Tag to you, wherever I think you're watching us from Germany. Thank you so much for watching. So that is the current situation there in South Sudan, even as the clock keeps ticking. And of course, the deadline is on 22nd of February. This was after an extension of 100 days from the 12th November deadline that the leaders failed to implement the peace deal that could finally materialize to a unity government.
Mr. Allende, Salvador Allende won elections. Very convincingly. The best elections ever held in Chile. Americans started doing what they are doing with Mr. Mutunga and Mr. Ekuro Kot. They did that, they said frustrated him because he was a socialist. The biggest problem is what is happening in America, in South Sudan, is nobody has given South Sudan corporate industry what they want. They want that oil. And Mr. Salva Kiir has not given them. Let's move to another topic.
And even as we do so, I saw Sir Eromeda, how you're saying absolutely right. Let the overexcited human monsters actors conquer each other for peace to come. They are overexcited, egocentric, stupid, ignorant, destructive human. Oh, you think you have so much bile towards, I also share the same sentiments toward the leadership of South Sudan. But yeah, your wording is very strong. But thank you so much. I saw, sir. Thank you so much. And I'll chidit pana called it. You're saying America never.
Let me tell you, that person, Mr. Who, Indaho, is correct. They have ego. Both Salva Kiir.
Very egocentric, very strong sentiments there.
They are not strong. They describe exactly what it is, Miriam.
True.
Egoistic.
They are very egocentric.
Yeah, they don't want to surrender. They are not. They have no people at their heart. Both hearts think of power. Are you not creating egoistic leader here in Kenya? Hey, you are. If he fails the election, what else do you think he'll do? Check that. Today, iko mambo kaba. Have you also thought about that? Have you thought about that, Miriam?
About what?
That in Kenya here, the way things are going, if someone fails the election,
but we've been
someone wants power so hard, so badly, so that when he's sleeping, he wakes up and says, power. So if he doesn't get it.
But these people already are in power, so. All right.
No, honestly, if he doesn't get it, you tell me what will happen.
Accept and move on. Has that not been
that's what
the wonderful advice from before?
Tanzania.
Yes. So is it a target of the West? Tanzania goes to its general election this year, and many political analysts in Tanzania has taken 2020 as some kind of watershed of the year that will clarify some of the nagging questions that have defied explanation of prediction. So as we know, over last November, the opposition, boycotted the election because they're saying over 94% of their fielded contestants were disqualified due to technicalities. So, Dr. Tanzania, the future of Tanzania democracy, and as well, what you're seeing play out in Tanzania, is it a target by the West, or is democracy on trial in Tanzania, one of the most peaceful, harmonious, wonderful countries that we've been celebrating in East Africa? What is happening in Dar es Salaam? 94% of opposition was disqualified.
Yes.
No wonder they refused.
Yeah. Because of the regulations. Tanzania has strict electoral regulations.
That targeted the opposition or just everybody? Yeah,
if you don't pass them, you don't pass. And they have stabilized their electoral system. In Tanzania, there is no going to court when the president has won. There's no president. That's why Tanzania has gained stability.
There's no runoff.
There's no runoff. The first man who hits the mark of 50 or whatever percentage he wins.
As long as you're on the upper side.
Yes, you go. And that's it. There's no petition in Tanzania. That's the model that Nyerere left them, and I'm happy it stabilized their system. Who told you that you should get 50+1 Why?
Well, our constitution says that.
Wrong. Your constitution was cut and pasted.
Ekuro court should give.
Yeah, Ekuro court is now running around over the same constitution that he made, cut and paste. Why should you? I want to ask you one question. Why should Tanzania? Why? Jesus Christ! It is very, 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 very wrong. Why does Kenya have president elections? You are voting the MP, you are voting the president, senator, 8. Why do you vote for 80 people?
Because that is what the constitution says. Then
it's wrong. Why don't you change it?
That's what they're trying to do.
Vote for your MP.
And then these MPs will be
count them at the end of the day.
You know why I don't trust this?
No, wait.
The corruption.
Is there no stability?
That happens in that part.
No, is there no stability?
In South Africa.
No, here.
Here.
You know, do you know what destabilizes Kenya? Do you know it? This presidential election.
Yes.
This thing of saying president, then MP, then senator, then governor.
It's too much.
Then MCA.
It's too much.
Then blah, 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 blah. Then blah, blah, whoa.
Women representatives.
Then MP. Yeah. That is the stability.
And also it's too much.
What you need to do
for the wage bill
is forget the wage bill. It's a structure that is not needed. You need to elect your MP of which party? Jubilee. How many? That's what is done in South Africa. ANC, 200 seats. Democratic Alliance, 76 seats.
The party leader?
Party leader of ANC
becomes the president.
No fight. No fight.
Is that why they're fighting the prime minister position that wants to be created, that is being proposed? Because it sort of models from that structure.
No fight. No fight at all. People go smoothly home, shake hands, ANC is in power. And this other guy, the leader of opposition, earns his money. With PA, small girls, tall, well organized with shoes, you find them. Hello, I'm Mr. President, is PA. I am the leader of opposition, is PA. Kazi inaonekana. Slender girls like this tall. Yes, I'm saying the truth.
Okay. Because I also know PAs who are men, so I'm just trying to...
No.
Your
good PAs are girls.
Okay.
Because men create a confusion. You tell him to type, he types like a snail. But the ladies are well organized, quickly. Yes, 5 PA. And the leader of opposition, once you give him 5 PA with a flag, he enjoys when he's leaving, going to Kempinski for food. The girls are already there. They have booked Kempinski, the hotel. That's what life is. And the country moves on, isn't it? But now in Kenya, muko na shida moja. You have got this thing called president, elect senator, elect MP, elect woman rep, elect governor, elect MCA on the same day.
Because we saw Tanzania going for its parliamentary elections last year.
They are finished.
So this year they're going for the presidential elections.
Finished.
Yeah, this year.
You bring your presidential candidate, tunagongania hapo kwisha. And then if I get my 60%, no court battle. Tanzania moves on. Twende bele. CCM. Twende bele. Nyerere is down here. The CCM goes on. This is the only country where the leader has gone and stability is there. The rest of the countries, Ethiopia, Israel is there. Ethiopians have refused to bring the grave of Haile Selassie to bury him. The country will never be stable.
And did you see Donald Trump on Thursday when he was at a rally? He's very mad that Dr. Abiy Ahmed received the Nobel Prize. He thinks he's the one who brokered this peace deal between Ethiopia and Eritrea, so he deserved to receive the Nobel Prize, Mr. Donald Trump.
Have you seen? Well, about Ethiopia, I predicted to you what will happen. You see, even Trump is eyeing Ethiopia. He's eyeing the Nobel Prize.
Trump is a special case.
It's not special. It's a wrong case.
That's what I'm saying. He whatever he says, it's just out of the norm. And Dominic, no wonder you're wondering why do black leaders not have the progress of their people in heart? I'm just trying to decode your message. It's not very straightforward, but I can see what you're trying to say. Why do our leaders not have our interest at heart? That is what Dominic Nwando is saying. I think in regards to what is happening in South Sudan and across some other issues across Africa.
Because they have places where to run to. Next
we go to Zimbabwe, and Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa is overhauling the constitution barely 7 years after it was adopted amid protests that he is reducing democratic space in the country. President Mnangagwa is accused of trying to use changes to the constitution to entrench his rule. According to the amendments approved by cabinet, the president will directly appoint his deputies, the prosecutor general, a public protector, and control the promotion of judges. The constitution adopted in 2013 as part of a power-sharing deal between former President Robert Mugabe and late opposition leader Robert Chagirai provided for the direct election of vice presidents. Now, judges, on the other hand, were selected through a process that involved public interviews, and this was seen as a progressive move in a country where justice system is viewed as biased towards the ruling elite. Although the amendments are yet to be approved by Parliament, the opposition is unlikely to block them as President Mnangagwa's ruling ZANU-PF party enjoys a two-thirds majority. The judges' selection process is the similar one we have here in Kenya.
Yeah.
It's
not good at all.
It's not?
Yeah. It brought every Tom and Dick Harry. Yeah.
All and sundry.
Yeah, they are here. Don't you see the judges, activists? You call that? You go and interview one day and you impress the woman on the panel. And you become a judge. That's it. But if we sit down and look through the public of Kenya, say credible lawyers like Oralo, he has been in the law, he knows the law, put him as a judge. Yes, there's a difference there. So what Emmerson is doing is correct. In fact, that is very good. Let him now. If you are the president like the United States of America, you appoint your own judges of the Supreme Court.
But they still have to go through a process.
No problem. But you have appointed them.
But they still have to go through a process.
He
wants to get away
with to get Mwiru to go through a panel because the boyfriend or the husband or the hood has talked to the panel. Don't we have now a very terrible situation here? Look at the situation we have in Kenya.
But the interview acts as a checks and balance, because if you leave all these powers to the president...
But they will go to be ratified in the parliament. The parliament can refuse your nominee.
No, he wants to get done with all that process. He wants to have all the powers to nominate and fire and hire.
Yeah, if Uhuru Kenyatta, if President Uhuru Kenyatta had the powers to nominate and hire, the country would move. You would have put in someone.
We cannot change that in our constitution.
Yeah, but it could change. It could change. It could be one of the things that is aimed at the president to have power to have a judge who likes him, who has the view of a government that you can't go to be elected by 20 million voters, and then you are mesmerized and you are conjured in a bag by a man who went for an interview.
A judge.
Yes.
That's why we have independent institutions and independent.
Yeah, but the man can be independent if he's independent indeed. But if he's biased, you have a problem as elected leader. You remain hanging into his socks.
You know, we used to have such a process when our former president, Daniel Arap Moi, was in power. And he did not act very well because he could fire and hire at will, and he abused some of those powers. So I think the Constitution introduced these checks and balances so that the president, if President Uhuru Kenyatta will be done and with his term he will leave, we do not know the next president, how he will be. So it's important to have checks and balances so that regardless of who is in power, they're not able to abuse their powers and just fire and hire and judges. And especially judiciary is a very important institution in a country. So when the executive has an upper hand in it, I don't know if that is, I don't know how that will work for a country. But what will this mean for Zimbabwe or for President Emmerson Mnangagwa? I think this of course, will not augur very well, even as it seeks for some of these sanctions to be lifted. America will come very hard on this. The EU will come very hard on these amendments, and that will mean more trouble for Zimbabwe and for President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
It might be true, but let's see how it works out.
Max Mayika, you're crying. Why? You don't think these amendments are necessary? The overhauling of the constitution that President, Mnangagwa is trying to do. You don't seem very happy with that. But anyway. We move on to our last country, and that is Cameroon. And we've seen last week a lot of around over 350 security forces are being deployed to where even as Cameroon gets to go to its elections on the 7th of February. So, no, on the 9th of February. So, of course, the Amazonians have said, there's nothing that is supposed to be taking place between 7th and 12th in that region. They don't want to participate in those elections. They don't want to be part of that process, but the government has insisted that it will come after them. Mr. Paul Biya, while he was giving his New Year's message, he said he will come very hard on the Amazonians, and they better not try to fight these security forces that have been sent in that area. So, this state that Amazonia has been longing for is 2020 the year that will propel them towards coming closer, or this is just something that is way too far into the future, might not be realized anytime soon.
Well, let's see what it is. So, Cameroon.
That's where we are.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, do you need me to say something about?
No, but I could just add some information there from the United Nations that took a swipe at the government in Cameroon. There are overclaims that figures on the humanitarian situation in Cameroon are fake. So the figures that the Red Cross and other humanitarian bodies have been giving about the humanitarian crisis in the Anglophone region, President Paul Biya's administration is saying those are fake. Nobody is suffering from Cameroon. Matter of fact, nobody is dying, and the statistics are fake. They're saying they're accusing these people for using these statistics to get more funding. Paul Biya's government, is it out of touch with what is really happening in the Anglophone region there in Amazonia, Doctor?
You see, the situation of Amazonia, Miriam, is very simple. Give a two-state solution. There is all the things that Paul Biya is doing here and there is wasting time. These guys have said they don't want to be there. And by the 1608 resolution of 1961, they don't want to be there. So why do you want to force them? Why do you force them? The children have not gone to school for 4 years. They are in the bush running away from the Nigeria Yaoundé army. The French Yaoundé is killing the English Yaoundé. So what your English Cameroon? The people in Amazonia are being killed on a daily basis. What else do you want to tell them? Election? What election? To elect what? If you are disagreeing about the humanitarian figures, what are the correct figures? The government has not told us.
No, as far as they're concerned, there's no humanitarian crisis in the Anglophone region.
You see, then you want to say election. What election? This is good. 350 troops are going to kill more.
And I think it's more than that. And one of our viewers here has given a very interesting look at that. Brito Eka, you're saying the deployment of the troops in Amazonia is a tactic for the troops to vote because our people will not go out and vote. And Max Manyika is saying nothing is worse than weaponized ignorance. It's very deep.
It's weaponized.
Weaponized ignorance.
Ignorance, yes. Buyer.
Mm-hmm.
You see, things have gone bad in South Africa, in Africa, and we'd better stand up, rise, and shine again.
All right.
And I want to take this opportunity to thank Miriam for all the great work that you have done. Oh, there is a question to come. Let me answer this. Bruce Oyamo, yes.
He's saying, if I may ask, Big Brother, one question. Who came up with this issue or ideas that Africa must report to their foreign powers or be told what to do, yet African can never tell them what to do and how to do them?
Ourselves.
Neocolonialism.
Oyamo, ourselves, hangover. We have, if you drink alcohol last night, you leave a hangover in the house, and therefore you will call a doctor to help you. Two versions have come up from his question. One, the African leaders we elect do things that call in outside intervention. Look at what is happening in Cameroon. You need an outside intervention to solve the crisis because Paul Biya is sending troops instead of sending food. We call them. So Americans, with these media outlets and social media, they are watching that area. Soon they will say, no fly zone for any airplane until they feed the people on the ground. That is one section. The emergence of neo-colonial powers now is the lack of resources in the metros in Europe. A country like France is dry, is poor, is now completely poor. What can they do right now is to restart chaos in order to recapture more countries. You cannot say that France has moved south to get more influence into the English-speaking countries so that they can actually feed their people. Situation back in Europe, in the European metros, the minerals that they took, the gold, the diamonds are getting depleted. You have to find a new, that's why we have a second wave of neo-colonization coming through lack of resources up. Competition, number 3, the countries of China, America compete over who should be superior. Adventurism.
You've forgotten Russia just joined
yes,
in the competition.
Russia.
Towards the end of last year.
You can imagine all African leaders are called to that place.
Sochi.
On 20th of this month, Britain has called all African leaders.
And they'll just go there.
No, we are going, even me. We are all going there. Hey, we are going there.
20th of this month.
Yes, there's big gathering for all African heads of state.
So it's not Commonwealth, it's for
No.
all African states. Okay.
And I hope Paul Biya, because there's something, even that Somalia, they will be there. They have been called.
So what is the agenda?
What exactly he has said, what I've just said. They want to be lectured on. Each country, Britain is leaving the European Union. It wants to stand itself, to persuade.
To make an alliance.
Say, please,
with Africa, yes.
we can deal with you directly. Don't worry. There you are.
All right, and of course, Brexit.
We have taken ourselves there. Those days we used to sell ourselves, they used to forcefully sell us.
Now we
sell ourselves.
And that is a very unfortunate truth, but it is the truth. it is the truth. What is happening in Africa, we've taken ourselves willingly through our leaders and organization like African Union, which is a gatekeeper for the people from the interest of outside Africa.
Paul Kagi says Dr. Matanga is going to Britain. Yes. What are you suggesting, Paul?
I'll be here. He'll be corresponding and letting us know what Paul Biya, whether he was able to arrive safely. Did he walk through the stairs without falling?
He can't. Paul Biya, who arrive in Britain, they will arrest.
He can't go.
He can't go.
But Britain has been very lenient in the.
He will send the Prime Minister,
Mr. Ngute. All right. So we thank our viewers. Thank you so much for watching.
This station, therefore, is for Africa with Africa by Africa tomorrow at 11. Miriam Ogutu is here. And then later on, the editor's memo. Itawaka moto kesho. It will be here tomorrow. I want to thank all of you for having listened to us. The sentiments expressed here are factual. We don't tell lies against anybody. We hope the people of Kenya will realize that unity of purpose is more important than divisions that we see emerging in every aspect of life. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Miriam. And God add more hands to Miriam.
All right.